guys, Johnny back to the channel. Today we've got our NBA playoff predictions here. We're doing it a couple hours before the playoffs are actually starting with the Milwaukee Bucks and with the Miami Heat. But I thought, hey, might as well wait until after the Warriors-Grizzlies game. By the way, what a game. The Grizzlies win in San Francisco, something I did not expect to happen. And now the final 16 teams are set, and it is time to crown the NBA champion for the 2021 season. And folks, if you have not yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below for more here on the channel. So I'm just going to go series by series and give my predictions. So we're starting first here with the Utah Jazz and the Memphis Grizzlies. Of course, the Grizzlies just won and beat the Warriors. A really damn good game. And now they take on the Jazz. It's going to be an uphill battle for the Grizzlies. I mean, it just is. And I know they did play pretty well against the Jazz in the regular season. But of course, this Grizzlies team led by Ja Morant, Dillon Brooks, Jaren Jackson Jr., Jonas Valanciunas as well. It is a very good team in the Memphis Grizzlies. But if you look at this Jazz squad, when they are healthy, they are dominant, and Donovan Mitchell will be playing in the postseason. I mean, you got Mike Conley still on this team. He's an all-star. Bojan Bogdanovic. Royce O'Neal actually been pretty solid so far this season. Rudy Gobert. You also got Joe Ingles and Jordan Clarkson off the bench. I mean, this Jazz team, there is a reason they have the best record in the NBA, and that's why they're going to be the Memphis Grizzlies in this series. I have Jazz in 5. I don't think they're going to have too much trouble with this Memphis squad. Now, the Grizzlies do play some pretty good basketball, but I'm still going to go with the Jazz to win this one in 5 games. Now we have got the Los Angeles Clippers and the Dallas Mavericks, a rematch of last year's first round matchup, of course, in the bubble. The Dallas Mavericks, again, a really good team. Luka Doncic, one of the faces of basketball, I guess we can call him. Kristaps Porzingis. Now, it will be interesting to see how this series does play out, considering Kristaps was not playing last year when these two teams met up in the playoffs. He will be playing this year. The Mavericks, again, just an all-around solid team. They did finish 5th in the Western Conference, record of 42-30. The starting lineup, Luka Doncic, Tim Hardaway Jr., I believe Dorian Finney-Smith still starting at the 3, and then you got Porzingis and either Dwight Powell or Willie Cauley-Stein or Maxi Kepler. It gets mixed up with the Mavericks 5 spot. I know Porzingis coming back into play, even though he was injured earlier, messed up because Powell was playing a lot, but now they still have Willie Cauley-Stein. I'm not exactly sure how the Mavericks are going to work that against the Clippers in this series, but that's Dallas and the Clippers. Again, just a pretty solid team as well. Patrick Beverley still running the 1 for them. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. Can they finally get over the hump? Again, last season they did beat the Mavericks in the first round. We'll see if they can do it this year. Of course, Marcus Morris Sr. still on this team as well. They did get Batum. They got Luke Kennard coming off the bench as well with Serge Ibaka and with Reggie Jackson. Also, Zubac is running the 5. I'm going with the Clippers to win the series. I just think it's going to be the same thing as last year. I've already kind of seen this series before. The Clippers are playing some really good basketball right now, given they did kind of dodge the Lakers, or they're trying to dodge the Lakers, losing to the Rockets and such. But I still think the Clippers are the better team, and I think they're going to win the series probably in 6 games. Now, the 3-6 matchup is the Denver Nuggets and the Portland Trail Blazers. Portland, man, did beat this Nuggets team in the last game of the regular season. Now, the Nuggets were really just resting their guys because, I mean, I hate to say it again, but they're kind of dodging the Lakers as well. It's okay, though. The Trailblazers did go out and they did beat the Nuggets at home in Portland. Damian Lillard showcasing why he is one of the better point guards in the NBA. CJ McCollum, a solid option at the 2, and Norman Powell is the big trade deadline pickup for the Trailblazers. Of course, the former Toronto Raptor in Powell was moved over to Portland, and he's been playing pretty solid this season ever since joining this team. Robert Covington, Yusef Nurkic rounding out the starting 5. For the Blazers, also, you got Melo coming off the bench as well with Enes Kanter. It's a solid Trailblazers team. The Nuggets, of course, are very, very injured. I mean, I'd say they are just because the loss of Jamal Murray, of course, is horrible for them. Will Barton, is he coming back or not? Had him on my fantasy team. Really just got no news if he was coming back or not. I do not know if he's going to be playing in this postseason series. Austin Rivers is also hurt as well. This Nuggets team is struggling with injuries, and that's what I think is going to hurt them a lot in this series. Of course, Jokic is probably going to win the MVP, even though you can definitely make the case for Steph Curry and even Joel Embiid, but Jokic will most likely win that award. Also playing the 3 for Denver will be Michael Porter Jr., playing tremendous basketball this season for them, and also they picked up Aaron Gordon from Orlando. He is now playing the 4 for this Nuggets team as well. I'm taking the Trailblazers, though. The injuries concern me with the Nuggets. Again, Will Barton, who knows if he's going to be playing. Jamal Murray, of course, out for the season. Austin Rivers dealing with some injuries of his own as well. And I know Jokic is one of the best players in basketball, but still, I think all around the Blazers have what it takes to beat Denver. And again, I did see that in the last game of the regular season. Again, the circumstances going into that game, questionable, but still, I'm going with Portland to win this series. I think it's going to be a very close series, very tight series, but I'm going with the Portland Trail Blazers to upset the Denver Nuggets and beat them in 7 games. Now we've got the 2-7 matchup, and it definitely doesn't feel like it. It's Los Angeles Lakers and the Phoenix Suns. Obviously, the Lakers winning in the first round of the play-in against the Golden State Warriors, and the Phoenix Suns, man, the number 2 seed in the Western Conference, 51-21 in the regular season. The Lakers 42-30. Definitely don't feel like a 7 seed, but of course they are with the injuries they have had. Of course, to LeBron James and Anthony Davis throughout the regular season. The Phoenix Suns, man, just an all-around tremendous team. Chris Paul coming to this team. Again, you can make potentially the case for an MVP for him as well. Chris Paul coming into the Suns team, and they have been tremendous ever since going 8-0 in the bubble last year. The Lakers, though, are finally healthy, and they are pretty damn good when they are healthy. Again, Dennis Schroeder had a very bad playing game against the Warriors. Same with Anthony Davis, but even with those two having bad games, the Lakers still beat Golden State. Of course, LeBron James was probably on a path to win the MVP before his injury during the middle of the season. The center position for the Lakers gets tricky. You got Andre Drummond there, who has been all right. Now he hasn't been like a Laker great like they hoped, but he's been okay since joining the Lakers. Montrezl Harrell's on the squad as well. Marc Gasol has not been tremendous. And also the bench is just solid. Alex Caruso playing tremendous defense. You know, if I can make the case definitely that Alex Caruso should be starting with Dennis Schroeder. I think he probably should. Wesley Matthews came into the playing game and balled out for Los Angeles as well. Kyle Kuzma, he's Kyle Kuzma, but he actually has been playing pretty well as of late. And as for the Suns, man, this team has been pretty damn good as well. Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, DeAndre Ayton. The bench is pretty damn good as well. Not a lot of guys that you think of immediately, but still a really solid bench as well. Guys such as Cameron Payne, Cam Johnson, Dario Saric, among others. This should be a close series. I mean, definitely closer than what people are thinking it's going to be. A lot of people think Lakers are just going to run right through this one in about 4 or 5 games. I still got the Lakers to win the series just because I'm not betting against LeBron in the playoffs, especially in the first round against Phoenix. I think it's just a really bad matchup for the Suns in the first round. And again, the Lakers on their worst day still beat the Warriors on potentially their best day. I'm going with the Lakers to beat the Phoenix Suns in 6 games in this series. On to the Eastern Conference, and we got a first round matchup here between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Washington Wizards. The Wizards, of course, just won in the play, and they lost their first round matchup against the Boston Celtics, and then in the second round of the play, they did go on to beat the Indiana Pacers, and here they are with a losing record in the regular season. Did Washington 34 wins and 38 losses, but now they find themselves in a matchup with the 76ers, and the Wizards again had a terrible start to the season. Bradley Beal was scoring all those damn points and still losing ball games, but they have turned around their season. And again, the starting lineup isn't the most incredible. If you take out Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, I mean, what is the starting lineup? Raul Neto has actually been having a pretty solid second half of the season. Rui Hachimura has been really damn good as well. Their center position, you got guys such as Davis Bertans playing the 5 sometimes. You know, Gadford, Robin Lopez, and Alex Len have all been splitting up the 5 with Thomas Bryant out for the season with an injury. And the bench, again, with the guards, Ish Smith is there as well. Chandler Hutchinson playing the 3 as well. The Wizards, again, it's going to be a tough matchup for them, but if anyone can really pull off this upset with an 8-1, it's going to be this Wizards team just because of the star power they do have with Russell Westbrook and with Bradley Beal. Either this Wizards team can be very good or they can be pretty mediocre. Just depends what Wizards team we do end up getting, but you know what you're going to get out the 76ers. Just all around a very solid team. Ben Simmons manning the 1. You got Joel Embiid, of course, at the 5. Tobias Harris, Danny Green. You got Dwight Howard off the bench as well. You got Seth Curry running the 2. It's just such a damn good team here in Philadelphia. Forgot to mention Shake Milton as well. Mike Scott, the Sixers. I mean, I want to pick the Wizards here, but I just can't. I really think the Sixers are going to pretty much run away with this series. I think the Wizards will probably take a game at home, probably a game 3, but other than that, the Sixers are going to win this series in 5 games. Now we've got the Atlanta Hawks taking on the New York Knicks, and who would have thought at the beginning of the season the New York Knicks would be the number 4 seed in the Eastern Conference? I mean, what a turnaround it has been for New York basketball this season. We're going to start with them first, of course. Julius Randle, top 10 player in the NBA this season, no doubt about it. The man has been balling out for the squad. Reggie Bullock has been pretty good this season, and also you got to give a lot of props to RJ Barrett running the 3 as well. Derrick Rose coming in halfway through the year, really making this team what they need to be. I mean, I wouldn't say a new championship contender, but really as a threat in this playoffs. And all around the Knicks, man, just a very good team. You also got Alec Burks Off the bench, Obi Toppin, of course, the rookie, Taj Gibson as well. And as for the Atlanta Hawks, it is the Trae Young show in Atlanta. It just is, man. Trae Young has been killing it this season, and given, has it been with the free throws? Yes, but he's still a very dominant point guard. Bogdan Bogdanovic is running the 2 for this team. DeAndre Hunter, if he is healthy, will be running the 3. Kevin Huerter's also there as well if they need him. John Collins has been excellent. Clint Capella has been pretty good as well. Lou Williams is running off the bench for this team, and call it a controversial pick, but I'm taking the Atlanta Hawks to beat the New York Knicks in 7 games. I think this is going to be a very close series, and it should be a fun series, but I'm going with the Hawks just because I like this team better. I really think this Hawks team is better than the Knicks right now. Trae Young is just an absolute monster out there in the court, and again, does he piss people off with the free throws and how he does play the game? Yes, but he's still a very dominant point guard, and he does put up a lot of points, and that's about it. John Collins has been running the 4 pretty solid for this Hawks team as well, 41-31 in the regular season. I'm going with Atlanta to beat the Knicks in 7 games. It is the 3-6 matchup, and it is between the Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks. It is a rematch of last year's playoffs, and the Heat, man, coming into this series on a pretty damn good run. Now, they are going to be missing their all-star shooting guard, Victor Oladipo, for the series, which does hurt them a lot, but still, this Heat team is still very talented. You still got Jimmy Butler, the leader of this Miami team. Again, top 10 player in the sport. Bam Adebayo, snubbed for Defense Player of the Year, but that's okay. Still a really good center. Trevor Ariza has been solid after coming over to Miami midway through the year. Kendrick Nunn's running the 1. You got the sharpshooters, the bubble stars last year for Miami in Tyler Hero, and of course the starting shooting guard for this team, Duncan Robinson. Goran Dragic still on the bench as well. Just the Miami Heat, so talented, just such a damn good squad. But then you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, of course, led by the reigning defending MVP and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Of course, Chris Middleton still running the 3 for this team as well. Drew Holiday and Dante DiVincenzo round out the guards, and also Brook Lopez is running the 5 for Milwaukee. But again, the Bucks have never been great in the playoffs, and can Miami do it again to Milwaukee? I think they will. I think the Miami Heat are going to beat the Milwaukee Bucks in the series. I think they do it in back-to-back years, and I'm going to keep it real with you. I don't think this series is all that competitive. I think Miami really runs away with this one. Again, call it what it is, but I just think the Heat are just better than Milwaukee, and I've seen this series last year. I think Jimmy Butler's a better version of himself this year than he was last year, and that's saying something. I'm going with the Miami Heat to beat the Bucks in 5 games. Again, I don't know if it's going to be all that competitive. The Bucks might win game 1, but I think from there on out, Miami's going to run through the next 4. Got Heat in 5. I'm sorry, but this is probably the least competitive series in this playoffs. It's the Nets and the Celtics. Yeah, okay. I mean, this is Nets in 4. I'm sorry, it's Nets in 4. This is a sweep, man. Okay, Boston, again, so many injuries with this team as well. Of course, their star forward is out for the year in Jaylen Brown. I know Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum are still here for Boston, but if you look at this Nets team, and if they are fully healthy, which is a big question because we don't know who is going to be playing for this Nets team, but if they can stay healthy, I mean, just the name value. James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, the big 3, and on top of that, you got the sharpshooter Joe Harris, you got Blake Griffin, you got all these damn stars for this Nets team. I just don't see this one all that competitive. The only way the Celtics maybe steal a game is if the Nets are resting their players and they're hurt. But I don't see it happening. This is pretty obvious. Brooklyn in 4. Now, something interesting real quick. I'm just going to bring it up real quick. The Nets are having trouble filling out the Barclays Center for this series. I don't get it. They have like 20% capacity, and they're putting out Twitter videos of James Harden telling everyone, hey, I've got your tickets covered. Use code Harden for 50% off. Why does no one want to watch the Nets? I don't get it. 20% capacity, and still no one wants to show up to watch the Nets play basketball. That doesn't really matter though. Nets in 4. This isn't competitive at all. Okay, so we are now on to the second round, and since we've pretty much gone over all these teams and what they have, I'm just going to basically fire off predictions and just say what I think is going to happen. Okay, so Jazz Clippers, competitive series again, the 1 versus the 4. Can the Clippers finally get over the hump? Can they finally get to the Western Conference Finals? Will it happen this year? I do not know. Again, the Clippers, just an all-around solid team, but the Jazz, man, there's a reason why they are the #1 seed in the Western Conference, and I just don't feel like they're getting enough credit for being such a damn good team. If you watch this team in the regular season, they are so damn good. Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert leading the charge for this Utah squad. Can the Clippers finally get to the Western Conference Finals? No, they can't. The Utah Jazz beat the Clippers. They beat them in 6 games. I think this might be a little bit closer than I don't know. It'll be closer than the Jazz Grizzlies series, but I still think the Jazz are the all-around better team. I just don't trust in the Clippers in the playoffs. I don't think anyone does. Again, they had a 3-1 lead over the Nuggets last year, and they had a 20-point lead in Game 5, and they still lost the series. I'm not picking the Clippers in a playoff series. I think they'll probably beat the Mavs. That might be tough for them, but I think they'll beat Dallas. I don't think they get past the Jazz. We've got Utah in 6 games here. Lakers and Blazers. Now, this should be a pretty fun series. It is a rematch of last year's first round, where the Lakers did beat Portland in 5 games. I ask you this question: who is guarding Anthony Davis on this Portland team? When Anthony Davis is on, he's still a top 10 player in the sport. I know the Blazers have Yusuf Nurkic, but it's not going to be enough. The Lakers are going to win this series. All around, the Lakers are the better team. I just saw the series last year. I mean, it feels like, that was less than a year ago. I'm going with the Lakers to beat the Portland Trail Blazers again and to advance on to the Western Conference Finals. I've got Lakers in 5. I don't think this is as competitive as the Sun series. I think the Lakers get the job done pretty easily here. Maybe Portland steals one at home, maybe game 1 or game 2, but nah, this is Lakers in 5. Hawks and 76ers. It is the 5 seed versus the 1 seed. This is going to be a tough series for the Hawks. I really think the Sixers have a pretty easy path to the Eastern Conference Finals. I just think they do. It's not saying that the Knicks and the Hawks are bad teams. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying, hey, if you look at the 3 teams the Sixers could potentially play in the first 2 rounds, okay, I think their toughest matchup is the Wizards. I think if they get past Washington, they're going to the Eastern Conference Finals just because of the way they match up against the Knicks and the Hawks. They match up very well against the Hawks. Maybe not as well against New York because of the Julius Randle factor, but against Atlanta, man, I mean, how is Atlanta going to score against this Philly defense? I just don't think they're going to. Ben Simmons, Trae Young, both point guards on their teams, respectively. I just don't see this series all that competitive. The Hawks really need Trae Young to get going. If Trae Young can't get going in a series or in a game, they're just not that great. This has got sweep written all over it. Philly in 4, I don't think it's all that close. Even if they're playing the Knicks, I don't think it's as close. I think it's closer than this series, but Hawks Sixers is a nightmare matchup for Atlanta. This has got Sixers in 4 written all over it. Now we've got the Miami Heat and the Brooklyn Nets. The winner moves on to take on the Philadelphia 76ers in the Eastern Conference Finals. Should be a very close series. I think on paper, this one is very close. Now, I think the star power for the Nets might overwhelm a lot of people, might make the Nets a big betting favorite in this one, but just the Miami Heat play so well as a team together. And again, I think the Victor Oladipo loss really does hurt them a lot because Victor Oladipo most likely is going to be playing on James Harden this entire series. And Victor Oladipo, we know, known for his perimeter defense, known for being a great defender. I think if they had Oladipo in this series against the Nets, I think that would make this one a lot easier, obviously, for Miami, just because the defense Oladipo does bring it to the plate. But still, again, this Heat team still plays so well together. You got the guys off the bench that produce and are so damn productive. We know the Nets are good just because of the star power alone, but my problem with the Nets is how good will this Nets team be together in a playoff atmosphere against a Miami Heat team that's been there and done that before. Don't forget, the Heat are the reigning defending Eastern Conference champions, and I want you to remember that. And that's why I'm taking the Miami Heat to beat the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, close series. Definitely, but Jimmy Butler is on a damn mission one more time. Bam Adebayo is going to have a lot of success in this series as well, and I'm going with the Miami Heat to beat the Brooklyn Nets in 7 games. I think this one goes the full 7, and I'm going with the Heat to upset Brooklyn. Probably my most crazy pick yet, I would say, but I'm going with it. Miami in 7, they advance to take on the Sixers in the Eastern Conference Finals. It is the Western Conference Finals between the Utah Jazz and the Los Angeles Lakers. The 1 versus 7 meet. The winner goes on to the NBA Finals. It's the league's best team in the Utah Jazz against the reigning defending champs in the Los Angeles Lakers. All right, I'm gonna just make my prediction right away, and I'll tell you why. Lakers in 5. I don't know how competitive this one's gonna be too. Okay, Utah in this playoff environment against the Lakers. What are we gonna get out the Jazz? Now, if they get to this spot, which is gonna be tough for them. Now, I think the first round's pretty much a wash. We know they're probably gonna beat the Grizzlies. The second round is the challenge because Utah, historically in the last couple years, has not been too great in the playoffs. Well, the Clippers for the last 50 years have not been good in the playoffs as well. So one of those teams have to win, and one of those teams are going to have to go play the Lakers. I don't think the Jazz have what it takes to beat LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and company in the playoffs. It's that simple. LeBron is not losing to the Jazz in this series. It's just not going to happen. I know Utah's got a lot of power, star power on this team, of course. Donovan Mitchell showing why he's one of the better players in the game, but I'm going with the Lakers to win this one in 5 games, and they advance to their 2nd straight NBA Finals. Now we have got the Eastern Conference Finals between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Miami Heat. Can the Heat make a rematch of last year's finals, or can the Sixers finally get back to the NBA championship for the first time since 2001? Let's see what happens here. it should be a good series. Jimmy Butler, again, trying to get back to the NBA Finals, trying to get that rematch against LeBron James. And for the Sixers, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, trying to get there for the first time, I guess, in their careers, obviously. But I'm going with the Sixers to beat the Miami Heat. Now, I think the Sixers' path to this point is going to be relatively easy. Of course, I said this earlier. They're going to play the Wizards in the first round, who are not an easy 8 seed at all. They're definitely not, but I still think it should be a pretty easy series for Philly. And then you're getting the Hawks, which, again, stylistically, and if you match these two teams up with the Hawks and the Sixers, I mean, that's just, again, I said earlier, it's a matchup nightmare for Atlanta, and the Sixers are going to run right through this one. Now, against Miami, they're not going to run through this Heat team. It's going to be competitive, but I've got the Sixers winning this one in 6 games. I think Philly all around, just the better squad. Joel Embiid versus Bam Adebayo should be a fun matchup down low, but I'm going to give the slight advantage to Joel Embiid, and that's where really I'm playing the series out. I think if Embiid can really dominate against Bam Adebayo down low, I think that's going to give Philly the biggest advantage they can possibly have in this series, and that's why I'm going with the Sixers to move on to the NBA Finals to take on the Los Angeles Lakers, and I've got Philly beating the Heat in 6 games. And another thing that really does hurt Miami is the loss of Victor Oladipo. I said it earlier, but the defense that Oladipo does bring to Miami is crucial. I know he only played there for 15 games this season, but when Oladipo is on, he is so damn good defensively, and he, in a regular series against the Sixers, would be playing against Ben Simmons, and that would definitely counter what Ben Simmons does bring to the Sixers offense. But with all that being said, no Oladipo means no win for the Heat. The Sixers win this one in 6 games. Now we are on to the NBA Finals. Of course, the Lakers and the 76ers. How did we get to this point? Well, for the Lakers, you go on, you beat the Warriors in the play-in. Then you go on and take on the Suns. You beat them in 6 games. Then from there, you play the Trailblazers. You beat them, and then you beat the Jazz in 5. And for the Sixers, it's a win over the Wizards. It's a win over the Hawks. And it's a win in 6 games over the Miami Heat. Again, one of these series, this might be the most competitive series you can possibly get in this postseason. I know the Nets are there as well, but I have the Heat beating them. Again, controversial, definitely, but we got the Nets out there in the 2nd round, and a Sixers-Lakers matchup is going to be so damn fun to watch. But again, I'm going to pose this question. Who is stopping LeBron on this Sixers team? Is it going to be Tobias Harris? Is it going to be Ben Simmons? I don't know. But I just don't see the Sixers stopping LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. I just think the Lakers all around are the best team in basketball. And it's a big if. If this team can stay healthy, they are winning the entire thing. But if they can't stay healthy, and if they lose one of their really core pieces, and the core pieces I'm talking about, it's LeBron James and it's Anthony Davis. Because if they lose one of the other guys in the starting lineup or on the bench, I think they can definitely fill in for those guys. But LeBron James and Anthony Davis, you cannot make up for the talent those two guys do bring to this Lakers squad. But as long as they have those two, I don't think any team has taken down the Lakers from winning their 2nd straight championship. It's that simple. We saw them run through the gauntlet really last year and win the NBA Finals. I think it's going to be the same exact thing this season. They do it as a 7 seed. They do it from winning the play-in and taking on a really good Warriors team where they were a couple minutes away, or honestly a couple seconds away from moving on to having to play the Grizzlies. Who knows what would have happened in that game? I mean, I think the Lakers probably would have got rid of the Grizzlies, but still would have been a maybe close game. I don't know. But the Lakers, I think they're going to win this one. I think they're going to go back to back, and they're going to bring that 18th championship back to Los Angeles. And folks, thank y'all for watching my 2021 NBA playoffs predictions. You know, we got the NFL ones right. I mean, we picked the Buccaneers. I picked the Buccaneers to win the Super Bowl last year. Got it right. A couple years ago, actually just last year, I picked the Lakers to win the NBA Finals as well. So hopefully we go 3-3. We're not going to talk about the MLB. Last season was a Mickey Mouse season. We'll see if the Padres win the entire thing this year. Who knows? But I think the Lakers are going to get the job done. Again, I just think they're the best team in basketball. They run to the Nets. That could definitely be a big problem, but I don't see that one happening. I got Miami over Brooklyn. We'll see what plays out in that series. If it happens again, the Miami Heat got to get past Milwaukee. So we'll see what happens all around this playoffs. Again, these are just predictions. Who the hell knows what's going to happen? Hell, maybe the Grizzlies win the entire thing. Actually, no, that's not going to happen. You can bet your house on that. The Grizzlies are not winning the NBA championship. So again, folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below for more here on the channel. And Mamba forever.